I'm going to show you a process where we can use cardboard boxes that you might have at home. You need to open it out into one big sheet and then cut two pieces of card which are the same size. Then decide what you're drawing. You don't have to be too detailed. Next stage is to cut out the shapes on your first drawing, just the outside shapes to begin with. You need to draw a small line around the edge of one of the cutouts so that you can remove that little section of card. You'll see in a moment how that then means you've got a space in between each of the objects that you've cut out. It can be a little bit fiddly and probably only need a couple of millimetres, if that, to just remove from the edge of one of the shapes that you're cutting out. I've decided to do a cityscape, but this process is great for all sorts of things, whether it's a portrait, animals, cars, whatever it is you want to do. You just need to draw it onto your first piece of card. So you can see when we put it together, there's a little bit of a gap between one of the buildings and the building in the background. So I go on to do that for all of them. Okay, next stage, you need to cut out the bits of each building. In this one, I'm using a knife to remove some of the windows. I'm leaving a little space between the details, so the roof line and the main block of the building. Cutting up this, taking out every other shape, so that I'm going to have positive and negative shapes as I'm putting it onto my piece of card. Make sure you stick it down really well. The gherkin was a bit more complicated, so I decided I wasn't going to cut out every single bit. I left the main stripes and then just cut some diamonds in between. Just working through some of the buildings in the background, removing some of the lines. Scissors is absolutely fine to do this. And then sticking down really well. So this is my completed Collagraph board. It's all in relief. Next stage, stick it down well, and using a soft pencil, go over it. You'll notice that I'm using the pencil really with the lead flat so that I'm not getting a point, but I'm just going over it. And then I'm adding some darker bits of tone. This one's been done with one of those cheap wax crayons. And what's nice about using the wax crayons is that you can put washes over the top. So using coffee, like I showed you in one of the other videos. So just a mixture of coffee to wash over the top. You can create a pastely background and then do a rubbing over the top of that. This is using a just household candle. Rub over the top, and then with food colouring or watercolours, whatever you've got, coffee, you can then do a wash over it, and you can see that the wax resists the watercolour as it's going on. Creates quite a nice effect. Here's where I've just used multicoloured oil wax crayons. This one's pencil and then some coloured pencils over the top, just picking out some of the detail. And of course you don't have to do a rubbing of the whole board, you can just pick out sections. So here I'm just putting colour onto the Albert Hall, moving it around, pressing darker as I come forward, so the buildings are coming forward out of the distance. And again, you can see you can create quite interesting effects by just using a section of it. And the finished result.